Welcome to Larry the Alchemist, and on today's episode, 5 signs that CDs are on the way out. I've made a bunch of different CD videos talking about this topic. I'll link it down below. Now, I'm fully aware that most people on this channel were physical media people. I'm a vinyl guy, but I've got hundreds and hundreds of CDs, as do many of the people who watch the channel. I did a poll in the community section of the Layer of the Alchemist, and they were all CD related questions. We got a lot of responses to it. I asked, how often do you currently buy CDs? 269 people voted. 38% said often, 24% said never, 38% said sometimes. 202 votes for where do you buy most of your CDs from? 66% online, 24% physical stores, 7% garage sales, flea markets, secondhand vendors, 2% at shows, merch tables at shows. 289 votes for do you own a CD player? This one, 86% of the people, yes. 14% no. 194 votes for does your car have a CD player? 70% yes, 30% no. Okay, with all that in mind, and this is, this is kind of a fun video. I know that a lot of people out there, you're still into CDs, and for good reason. There's a lot of cool things about CDs, but my number one reason, the number one sign for me, the ominous, distant sign showing that CDs are on their way, like the dodo bird. They're going to be possibly becoming extinct. I don't think they'll ever completely go away, but there's no doubt, I think, that they're not as popular as they used to be. I know some people will argue that, and some of the other CD videos I've made, they do. But so the number one reason, make sure you hang around for the number one reason, because it's kind of interesting. And all right, so let's get into it. Number 5. I've noticed that band merch tables, people are less and less. I see CDs less and less. I see vinyl. I see shirts. I see koozies, beer openers, and things like that. I'm starting to see less and less of CDs, especially when they're younger bands. Number 4, computers. I've got a MacBook Pro here that I use. I bought this at least 10 years ago. And as of 10 years ago, this didn't even come with a CD player. I had to buy a separate CD drive in order to, if I wanted to burn discs or if I wanted to transfer music into iTunes, I had to buy a separate, disc player thing. And that was kind of the real early one. I mean, this was, 10, 11 years ago that I bought this computer. Number 3 is stores. And I mentioned on here that a lot of people here buy their stuff online. But you see less and less CDs in just sort of mainstream stores. I did a video, I can't remember what the topic was, where I talked about how I went to my local Walmart and counted how many CDs were at the Walmart. And it was like 74 CDs or something like that. This was like probably 2 years ago. I've looked recently, and I don't know if there's 30 CDs at my local Walmart. Target doesn't carry CDs anymore. Best Buy doesn't carry CDs anymore. You used to be able to find CDs at all these places. And I know that there's still mom and pop stores. There are some mom and pop stores that carry a lot of used CDs and a lot of new CDs. But even that is there's usually most of these stores, there's way more vinyl than there is CDs. Okay, number 2. This was an interesting question. Most people said they have a CD player in their car. I just bought a brand new car about 2 months ago, a Prius, and it has no CD player in it. And when my wife said something to the guy like, "Oh, too bad there's no CD player," the guy started laughing and was like, "Well, nobody, cars don't. No, you don't. They don't. You don't have CD players anymore." And he was laughing like as if we were joking when we said, "Oh, it would have been cool if it had a CD player." He thought it was a joke. My daughter's car does not have a CD player in it. So CD players in cars is sort of like cassette players. I got it actually the 2 cars ago. I had a cassette player in my car. And that was kind of right at the end. Most cars, eventually, it used to be every car had a tape player in it. Now, no cars have cassette players. Now it's becoming a thing where no cars are going to have CD players. You're going to have to like special order it or something. Okay, and number one, the one you've been waiting for, the proof that the CD is losing ground in popularity significantly. This is when you know when you're got something and it shows up in a history museum, you know that it is not as popular as it used to be. So I was just in Washington D.C. for 4 or 5 days. We went into, I think it's called the History Museum, Natural History Museum or something, and they had a room for the cell phone, and it was like the history of the cell phone. And on one wall was, I forget exactly what they called it, but it was something like technology of the past. And they had things like pagers, old phones, a payphone. They had a payphone in there, and next to the payphone, and I'll splice in a picture here, they had a CD player, a portable CD player on a stand, and I just thought it was so funny. And next to that was a picture of a CD, like one of those holding cases you used to have in your car, and it even had, there were numbers next to everything. You could look down and read what these things were, and it says, CD player, and it says donated by Smithsonian staff member. So somebody donated a CD player, and it is now officially like, an artifact of the past. I was waiting for some kid to come over and look at it and say, "Mommy, what's that thing?" It reminds me of, there's these videos on YouTube of kids versus technology, or some old technology or something they call it. And there's one of them where they give the kids a Walkman tape. They give them a cassette tape and a Walkman and just tell them to try to, what do you think this is and what do you do with it? And like none of the kids have any clue what this thing. I think there's like one kid that's like, "Oh yeah, my dad has some cassettes." Well, the CD player unfortunately is going that route too. Give it another 5 years and 10-year-old kids won't have any idea what a CD player is or how you use one. So, hey, I'm not celebrating it because I'm a person that does think physical media is cool, and I go through my phases of buying CDs, used CDs. I honestly haven't bought a new CD in ages. I can't remember. It's probably been years since I've bought a new. I think I bought one or two from like bands at their merch tables, but if I buy CDs now, it's pretty much used CDs, and that's it. So, all right, thanks to everybody who answered on the poll, and here were my 5 signs that the CD is falling out of favor. It's falling out of popularity, and if you want to argue with any of those, feel free to go ahead. But man, when they put you in a Smithsonian museum and you're some sort of relic of the past, you're up there, there were dinosaur bones, in the next room. So it's maybe that's a sign that it is definitely becoming a part of the past. People have moved on from it, and a lot is not us. Hey, we love the old classic technologies. So, but all right, let me know in the comments down below what you think. Thanks for responding to the poll. Do see you again. Make sure you stay metal.